Hi, this is Eric Martin with Board Game Geek. I'm here with Andre Mack from Ravensburger, and we're going to be talking a little bit about the Rise of Queensdale.
Just a little bit.
A little bit. This is a legacy game from Inca and Marcus brands,
Yes.
and the Alea brand of Ravensburger.
Yep.
And maybe you can show a little bit and just talk about what the setting of the game is.
Well, the setting of the game is that there's a background story. It's the queen is ill, and we need to build her
A mausoleum.
a mausoleum.
No.
Not a mausoleum.
No.
Just a small palace that she gets well because she's ill.
Okay.
And well, our families try to help the king build this palace.
Okay.
And in order to do that, you need to build infrastructure, houses and stuff, and then build the palace in the end. And the player who is like the one who is the fastest and the biggest builder of the castle, of the palace, is the one who has the most respect from the king. And then, and he wins the game in the end.
Okay.
So in order to do that, he needs to build his tower complete, his tower of the palace complete. And then this is done by finishing the game 9 times, to win the game 9 times. Because each time you win, you get into a new era of the game. And if you did that 9 times, then finish the game.
Okay. So you're advancing separately into different eras as you win over other players.
Yes, it's a competitive game, and independently of all the players, you can reach different levels.
Okay.
So it's possible that 2 or 3 players can reach their goal and advance 1 level, or only 1 can advance 1 level. So it's very, the game progresses very differently for each other game that you play. And the main mechanic is worker placement, dice placement. And those dice, they come with sticker, and one, it's not a real spoiler, it's just a little hint. Since the dice are stickered, you get new stickers during the game, so you can pimp your dice in the progress of the game.
Okay.
So this makes it very interesting, and it's not really totally unique, but when we started developing the game, it was kind of unique. So 3 years ago, there were not so many games out that made dice with different signs. So
maybe talk a little bit about the landscape here. So we have the world and different characters who we represent.
This is the game board, and this is every player has his quadrant, and you build the buildings in your part of the board. You see here resource spaces, and with dice you try to collect many resources, and with these resources you can build buildings, and the buildings you build, they give you abilities, advantages during the game that you need to use to progress any further. You have your character, and the character has a few information that will be on there. The only thing that is important in the beginning is this, because this shows your goal that you need to have in the first game. So you need to get to 10 points, and this means going from the start to 10. This means this is the first level you have to make.
Okay.
If you reach that, you advance to the second level, and then in the next game you need to come from 0 to 16, because then your goal is 16 points. But it might be that other players still have the goal 10. So it may be that 2 players need to go to 10 and 2 players need to go to 16 at the same time. Or even can spread further, that somebody has to go to 22 and somebody still has to go to 10. So this differs all the time a little, but I can say if you're a little behind in the beginning, you can catch up. It's no problem. I tried it, tested it. it happens.
There was one thing. There was one thing we talked about at Spiel just a little bit. You're saying one of the real difficulties is, of course, making sure that when you win, you're rewarded.
Yes.
And that when you don't win, you're not going to be hammered by the person who wins.
Yeah.
In the later games.
So yeah, that is true. That's each time you win, you get a reward. But if you lose, you get a different kind of reward.
Okay.
So it's no spoiler again. If you do not reach your goal, you get seals, and with those seals you can buy a sticker for your dice. You can improve your dice if you lose.
Okay.
If you win, you get a reward that is more permanent. That gives you a little advantage in the beginning of the next round.
Right.
So it's a little different what is happening here. So if you lose the first 2 or 3 games, then your dice becoming better and better in that progress, and then you catch up eventually because your dice are that much stronger than the other players. Okay. So this is a very interesting concept, and it levels out really well. Okay. So it's but it was a big issue to balance a competitive legacy game so that it's not that you don't have the runaway leader problem, so that it's that it's all the time interesting for every player to play, even if somebody did a good job and played or 1, 2 or 3 times in a row. Player who are
it's
really
not
behind,
over.
It's not over.
Okay.
You can still fight and you can still win. I tried it out. Really.
Okay.
We did it.
Maybe you can mention just the oddest element that we might expect to find in a legacy game.
The plunger.
Yes, King's Plunger.
The King's Plunger. Yeah, it's very famous, but you will need it in the handling. You cannot see it here because it's just a pre-sample, but the game board is punched in hexagon tiles that are inside the game board. And if you build a building, then you need to remove tiles from the game board and replace them with your building tiles. But to remove those hexagon tiles, you need the plunger, because it's just so tight in between that you cannot get it out with your normal hands. So you need the plunger.
There you go. All right. You would think more games might have one in the future.
Yes.
That'd be so.
You never know. You never know.
Yes. Expansion.
With expansion, the plunger expansion.
Yes. Anything else to tell? I mean, there's some story elements to it. Maybe
there's a very big story element to it. There's a very big background story. It's I would compare it like in Andor, where there's a story behind everything. So here again, there's a story that accompanies the players, and certain events happen that are scripted, and certain events that may happen but may not happen. So there's a lot to discover, and no game will look the same, and no game order will be the same from play to play. If you talk to your friends, you will have a totally different experience than I had.
Right.
So it's and there's a lot to discover and a lot to tell in the end.
And the Rise of Queensdale is due out in March in Germany.
Yes.
And scheduled to debut at Gen Con, and
it will be at Gen Con. Yeah, you can buy it there.
Okay. It takes a little time. There's a different production level, I know, because you were showing there's a lot of text, a lot of things.
There are a lot of text, a lot of cards, a lot of stuff in there, and we are currently translating all the files and stuff, and then we need to produce it, and then we need to ship it, and so. But it will be. We are in time. The schedule is very good, so it will be at Gen Con.
Cool. Maybe you will be too.
Yeah.
Thank you, Andre.
Thank you.